This is a Hope 1032 podcast.
I think people that aren't happy in who they are always looking for that opportunity to be famous or to be loved by people or to be, I want all these followers because they're going to think I'm wonderful. No, they don't. They think what you said at the time was wonderful, but next week they might hate you. Then what will you do? You know, if you live for other people's approval, you'll die by their rejection.
Welcome to She Wasn't Born Yesterday, the pod that fearlessly chats about all things affecting us ladies who are 40 plus fabulous.
Well, and the guys that want to know what we think.
Well, them too. I'm Janet Evans, advertising creative.
And I'm Jenny Woodhouse, semi-retired social worker.
In other words, you're busier than ever. We're J&J and we're super thrilled you're with us for She Wasn't Born Yesterday. Well, gorgeous, I don't know about you, but I did actually grow up listening to the Kyle and Jackie O show when I was younger. And I was actually addicted to their show on Today FM, you know, because I actually found it quite controversial, entertaining though. And like they just seemed to say whatever they thought, you know, whatever came to mind. And I thought, well, that's quite refreshing, you know.
Okay,
you know.
I did not. Can I just put this in?
But after that, when I stopped listening to commercial radio, which was after they left, yes. I didn't listen to them on KISS, and I feel like as soon as I stopped listening, they became a lot more kind of controversial and toxic. And
I wouldn't know. I didn't listen to them at all.
Oh,
I know.
So you're the one.
I'm the one. Yeah.
But I think what happened a few weeks ago, and we've all heard about it.
I heard about that.
Has raised some questions beyond just what happens when a celebrity duo has a fight on air, and one of them quits in controversial circumstances. But to help us tune into what all of this actually means for commercial radio in Australia and maybe a bit of a glimpse of the scenes behind the media industry, our guest today is media commentator, passionate advocate for women in business. We love that. Keynote speaker and entrepreneur, the very fabulous Amanda Rose. Welcome to She Wasn't Born Yesterday.
Welcome, Amanda.
Oh, she was definitely not born yesterday. I think a lot of people need. We need T-shirts with that made up.
You've heard it
gorgeous.
First.
Thank you.
Absolutely gorgeous. Well, in just a quick recap, in case you haven't actually heard about what happened, Kyle Sandilands and Jackie O Henderson were the top rating Sydney breakfast team at KISS FM, part of the ARN Media. That's the Australian Radio Network. And on the 20th of February, they had a massive fight on air, with Kyle accusing Jackie of being off with the fairies and not doing her job. And Jackie subsequently left the show, saying she could no longer work with Kyle, and so her $100 million contract was cancelled, and Kyle was given 2 weeks, which actually coincidentally expires today.
At what time?
At 4 p.m. today.
Right.
So if we keep our guest Amanda Rose a little bit longer, we might be able to get more insight on that as well.
Indeed.
But that's what happened, and that was kind of the trigger, I guess, for a bit of fallout on that. And so, Amanda, the first thing we want to ask you is, and a lot of people have been saying this, is was this just a political or publicity stunt? Was it a move by ARN Media to actually get rid of them because they had not great records when they tried to network the show out into other cities?
They did struggle in Melbourne, big time, because the reality is different states want different types of people, and I think it was ridiculous to try and network them across Australia anyway. You should get local talent everywhere you are. People relate to local talent. You can build a community and engagement. Look, I think it's a PR stunt.
Wow.
Right? I think their ratings were dying. I think they wanted, look, put it this way. One of you had never heard the radio program until now. So it's working.
Yes.
Exactly. Right?
That's right.
Exhibit A. You proved my point. You know exactly my job here is done. The thing is, I think it is. And people really do think that what they see in the media is the truth. They really do think fights are real. It's like they think reality TV is reality. It's not. It's scripted. It's manipulated. Not everyone's involved in that manipulation. Some people are, some people aren't, not knowing that they're involved in it. But I think it's a massive PR stunt. to be able to get people talking about it, whether it's to renegotiate their contracts, whether it's to get them, maybe one of them wanted out. They could be on it together. They could be on it with AR. I don't know. But it is not a genuine, you've upset me, I'm leaving now. I mean, Kyle has been repulsive for a very long time. Now is not the time to put on, I can't handle this anymore, I'm leaving. That's not the case. It just seemed too perfect of a scenario. And look, they're known for it. They're known for their stunts, the cash for comment. You get advertising there. All of a sudden they're pushing something. Next minute they're not. This is media. This is unfortunately a lot of media, which is why independent media and podcasts are picking up in popularity because people are feeling like they're getting more authenticity via that medium instead.
Yeah, but they had a huge following and they were the top rating breakfast show in Sydney. So why do you suspect that it was a stunt?
Because they didn't do well in other states, I think they're trying to go national. This is a national story now. Everyone's talking about it, right? So people are getting awareness and different, going, who is this? We'll listen. What's it like? And so they're getting the attention. It could be for renegotiations, could be a one out. I know we met with I think it was the Laundry Group, Craig, or one of them, Stu. I think he met with them today or something was in the paper and he just bought 2 GB. So maybe he wants to shift. Maybe he wants to do something else. Maybe he wants to do a podcast. You just never, let me say, just wait and you'll see what's going on. Even if they go back on air, there'll be some agreement or something happening where they've done some contract negotiation. It's not legitimate at all in any capacity.
What decision are we waiting for today?
Well, I think it'll be Kyle. It always comes down to Kyle, and this really also irritates me.
How do you feel about that?
Well, okay, look, I could spend a long time on this, and I'm not just talking about the fact of a 54-year-old male speaking the way he does when his listeners are in their teens. Right? Because if let me give you a scenario. If you went to a party to pick up your child, right, and they're, say, 16, 17 years old, and you walked into a room and there's a 54-year-old man sitting there talking about vulgar jokes and horrible, disgusting things I can't repeat, and all the teenagers are laughing, would you have a problem with that? Yes, you would. So why don't people have a problem with him being on air doing the exact same thing? And now that the regulators come out saying, we need to put some restrictions on what you're saying, I'm like, I'm sorry, what? He's been saying it forever, and all of a sudden you're acting like there's an issue. Right. There's a lot of things going on here that is nothing to do with Jackie O being upset.
Right.
Okay. I just hope as a woman that she keeps her money and that she's financially secure and that no matter what, she does not get hurt in any way. I don't care if she's involved in this or not. I want her to get her money so a woman is financially secure. Yeah. Kyle, I couldn't care if he loses his money or not. He's a businessman. He will make sure he survives. He knows how to do deals.
He's already thought it through.
He has, but also isn't it time for some fresh blood? Shouldn't we have? I know so many talented young people that are funny and actually moral, and they don't have to be disgusting to get a laugh. Yes. There's so much talent out there. Why can't we test them? Why can't we have them on radio instead of forcing the same people?
Oh, well, we were going to talk about that because what do you think it is with this fixation with sort of, people like that who are so horrible and nasty, and yet they have this huge following, and people have actually come out and said, I'm not going to listen to radio anymore because they're gone and they were the ones that I loved and I was so loyal to them. But we don't focus
it's like a cult, but it's like reality TV. And I ask people often about why do you watch reality TV? Because I feel like it's like brain rot personally. And they said, well, it makes my life feel better. Right? Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like hearing about other people's distress or their life's a wreck, so my life doesn't feel so bad. I mean, it's
the opposite of Facebook where everybody's happy.
Yeah. Okay. And it makes sense, right? Okay. Pretty twisted, but makes sense.
Or I guess they look at them and go, oh, well, I'm not like that. Oh, thank goodness.
God. Yeah, that's right. And it gives people, and it is a bonding tool. It's like gossip is a bonding tool. Yes, I'm not a fan of that because it's just not healthy.
Yep.
Same thing. Let's all talk about what happened on this show. I'm asked all the time, did you watch Maths? And I'm like, I'd rather eat glass. I'm busy. I have things to do, right? But I appreciate that others do. I have a friend that is religiously watching it and knows all, and I find it hilarious. But you go dig deeper on these things. It's causing psychological trauma for those in the show.
Yes,
and those listening to certain radio programs, you're damaging young brains. You're telling them certain behaviour is real and is okay, but it's not okay. So you're not dealing with the consequences of what your language is pushing as okay. And that happens with radio, it happens on TV. People end up with mental health problems. No one cares after that. No. They got their quick fix of laughing at someone or their ratings. And I don't like it. I want to get some real funny, genuine people that are witty. Yeah. Bring back the witty comedy, right, without having to be vulgar.
Yes.
And put them on radio.
I remember even as a young teen, actually, the men, the disc jockeys on the radio being revolting.
I wasn't allowed to listen to any of that.
Oh, I did it secretly.
And no, because of that's the thing. And I remember I was in trouble, like if it was turned on, like Triple M and all this. Yeah. And what's interesting is people are starting to crack down a lot. So recently, I think it was Marty Shergold that about don't believe in endometriosis or it's not real, and he said a few other things. And I mean, I had a go at him online as well. But he's recently come out saying, "Oh, I'm two different people. That's two different personas, right? So my media persona is different to who I am as a dad." And I'm like, he's literally let the cat out of the bag. He's right. That's what a lot of people do. I've literally been on panels for radio, and beforehand people say, what will you say? Because I'll say the opposite. Right. I'm like, so you're not going to say what you genuinely think. You just want people to argue for the sake of arguing for ratings.
So you're paid to be horrible.
And I'm like,
yes, okay.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Well, I just find that that's so conflicting to I don't know, just to being honest and
How can
genuine.
you maintain it? I don't understand.
Well, I suppose it's like the men that have two families, right? I mean, they handle it, they juggle it.
Yeah, true.
If they want it bad enough, they can maintain it. Yeah. But it's how quickly people will change or lie or turn into someone that they're not for money.
Yes.
Right? And for fame. And it happens on TV shows. They will change who they are. They'll lie about stories. And I'm like, we're actually telling the next generation it's okay to not be who you are. Yes. That's what it's saying. We spend years saying be who you are, be authentic, you're worth, you're valuable just as you are. And now all of a sudden it's lie and you'll get money. Yeah. Change who you are and you'll get ratings.
But I think it's like what you were saying, no one realises. Like I don't think
it's
we
what's boiling the frog.
realise.
It's happened for so long.
Yes. Yeah.
And now all of a sudden everyone gets
but
shocked.
But also, if you're paid to be an actor, everyone knows you're acting.
It is known.
This is you're expected to be who you are.
But you're not.
As a radio announcer.
Yeah. Well, I think Carl is that way though.
That's the flaw in my plan.
Well, I think it's a flaw in morality in general.
Yeah. But listening to their argument, it did sound really genuine. It sounded, and the thing for me was like, I would rather someone criticise me personally and said, Janet, whatever you do, don't wear black. It does not suit you. But if they criticise my job and whether I'm doing my job properly, that really hurts me much more than a personal attack. And I felt she was genuinely
Or maybe
really
she's not
upset.
involved in this. Maybe he orchestrated it all. I wouldn't be
Conspiracy
surprised.
theory
Yeah, I'm good at them.
I'm liking it.
Haven't been wrong yet.
What else? What else have you got up your sleeve there?
Plenty, but I might get arrested if I...
All right, okay. Well, moving on.
No, she might not be involved, but it's definitely... You got to understand the way that these shows work is we need ratings.
Yes.
That is all they think about.
Yeah.
And I understand. It's quite stressful. But he's got enough money to not worry about that. So I think he needs to retire. He's near retirement. He should have a seniors card soon enough. Right?
True.
And bring in a next generation, can we just literally have people that lead by example?
That'd be lovely.
And you can still be funny. See, I think people think that you're boring if you do the right thing, or if you're moral, you're boring. No, you can still have personality, be witty, be funny, and not be crude.
Yeah.
If only they turned over
it's
to
a simple
Hope
recipe.
103.2 and listened to Brendan and Danielle in the mornings, that would be much better than
Their
Kyle
mums
and
are probably
Jackie O.
listening to that.
Yeah, that's true.
Or maybe they tune in. You never know.
Well, you never know.
Turn the radio up with the mums. listening
Well,
to it,
I remember
yeah.
when I was younger, and I'd forgotten I did this, but Mum reminded me that every time I'd be distressed, I'd actually go in and play my Christian cassette tapes, right? Or put on Christian radio when I was distressed. And when you think of that, it's a behavioural thing, right?
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be nice if your child right now, with all the technology, everything that's stressful, that they had a hard time at school, they can turn on a shock jock and actually be encouraged, influenced, laugh, and not be dragged into the gutter. Now, wouldn't that be nice?
And not to question and second guess themselves and their
and give them
femininity or
and give them
whatever.
examples of horrific actions that they should not be considering at that age.
So, Amanda, why do you think, like, given this content's been on air, this offensiveness has been on air for a very long time, why do you think the regulators like the ACMA, that's the Australian Communications and Media Authority, haven't censored or acted to stop it? Is it because, like, how much power do they actually have?
Look, you need. This is a problem with what I would call lobby groups, right? So a lobby group, regardless of what who they represent, are usually a small group of very well-oiled, it's a well-oiled machine of people that will contact somewhere to complain, right? And the one group we don't have is a group that can actually say, kind of like the mums, you know, kind of like the Christian mums that get together and say, we don't like this, we're against it, to actually put letters together, contact their MPs, contact the regulator. Yes. So if anything, it's a call to action to get a lobby group together, and it could be a few hundred people or more. It grows over time to say, this is the letter we're sending. Send it to your local MP. This is what we're actually complaining about. Send this to the regulator and complain.
Yeah.
That is why things get changed. So in other areas of life, you see something go, oh, they got pushback, you know, the articles in the media, and they've changed it because a lobby group has pushed it. But there's no lobby group pushing for morality.
Right.
What about that witches group that was,
Right.
you know, opposed to Kyle?
Oh, well, look.
Tell us about that.
you can tell us.
No, I'm just going to
say
say.
that.
I'm just going to say that we need to look. I think we need to gut the entire commercial radio.
Okay.
I'm just going to say, gut it like a fish, right?
Right.
Just rip it out. I'll do it. I'm no
Okay.
problems doing it. And we're going to put forget the regulator. I think we should gut that too.
Okay.
And then we're going to bring in a very strict set of guidelines of the type of behaviour that is accepted on commercial radio, and then find the advertisers that support that, which you would be surprised. They're out there and they're probably waiting for that opportunity. And then go and find the new fresh blood on every single commercial radio. Now, mind you, if there's people on commercial radio right now that aren't vile, that aren't lovely, keep them, give them the opportunity, but bring in fresh blood and change the entire sector. Because I think commercial radio is dying. Right? Podcasts are picking up, independent media is picking up, social media and all of that. So I think now's the time to bring like a new wave or tsunami of fresh blood and following. And when you look at the stats of the younger generation, they're actually more morally aligned because they're calling out injustice in the world. They're calling out what's going on. They're the ones that are saying, you can't stop me from protesting. You can't stop me from saying I don't like that or I like this, that's wrong, that's right. And I'm thinking, isn't it sad that we've got to have an 18-year-old tell a 50-year-old what's right and what's wrong? But they are, and we should be encouraging it. We should be supporting them and having a whole fresh new standard of let's go back to basics. We've gone too far down the rabbit hole of death.
Okay. Sorry, I shouldn't have laughed at that.
But it is.
Yes.
Is it not the road to death? And come back, start again and go, you know what, let's have fun and let's be educational and let's have different views but with respect and let's have some wit and let's, and the regulators, I think they should be put on notice that if they've literally ignored this behaviour for this long, like ACCC, oh, we better do something about, the two major supermarkets. Bit late.
Yeah.
So I think our regulators in general in Australia are weak.
Yes.
So for example,
why is that? Why?
well,
is
because
that?
you got to see who's running the country. It's big. It's big money, right? And lobby groups. So if you can get a good lobby group to come together and say, imagine a mum's lobby group to say, hey, we're not shopping there anymore, and we're going to tool out. Yeah. It's powerful, right? They don't want women to know how powerful they are, but man, are they powerful when they get together. We don't agree with that for our children. We want this. We want better for our families, and they need to push it more. America does it better than in Australia. I think Australia's a lot. We're kind of divided too much, but we need to come together.
Or are we too politically correct?
People are too scared to say anything.
Yes,
so
because we're too politically correct.
well, you get attacked. Like if I say something, people attack me all the time. I laugh it off. I don't care. Come at me. Like, what can you do? You literally, I'm not going to change who I am and what I stand for or advocating for others because I'm worried about someone's going to be mean to me, right? Because that's bullying. And then I can't condone that. But there are a lot of people that's scared. They're scared of losing their job. They're scared of being mocked and
being rejected
and
by
being
the community.
rejected. And that's horrible, right?
Yep.
I'm fine with it, but others aren't, and I understand that. So that's why collectively, if people work together and support each other, then the regulators in all areas will say, hang on a minute, this group is at us again. This group is calling us out on the price gouging, or this group's calling us out on what was said on that radio station.
So is it radio that's kind of, what is it, going towards death?
Yeah.
What about TV programs? So they have regulators and
They do.
What are they doing differently?
But they're very I find that with commercial TV, they get sent similar scripts, right, of the same information. So all the producers and news outlets like the news, they go, okay, this is coming in for the news of the day. Everyone's getting the same.
Yeah.
So the only way that can be different is to find a different angle to that, right? They're not really covering all news. No. They're covering, what the top echelon want them to talk about, whatever that is of the day, right? The most dramatic and clicks, and so I think they've pivoted to more online as well. So like YouTube, social media, a bit late. Yeah, I think they've gone. They need to work a lot harder and faster to catch up on that. Personally, like commercial, like 7, 9, 10. Where's the YouTube channels to everything, right? So they don't have a YouTube show. Sky News do YouTube shows, but they get a lot of views on it from America, which is why it's popular. But that type of thing needs to start picking up because you've got the podcasts that do on have on YouTube. It's massive and they're popular and people are going there. I literally have people say to me, because I do Sunrise on Channel 7, I'd never watched that show until I saw your clip. So I'll watch it because you're on there.
Okay.
And that's it. So I'll switch it on, watch it, and then leave. So and I'm like, because they've never literally won't watch it because they've switched off from commercial mainstream media.
But why do you think it's sort of the end of commercial radio? What do you think's going on? Is it the advertisers who are walking away because of pressure?
It's the listeners
on them.
The listeners are walking away. Yeah, so they listen to podcasts. So they prefer podcasts which can be more niche. So I'm going to listen to someone on education
or something like
40
that.
exactly. Right.
That is a brilliant idea.
I always should do that.
Isn't it? Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good solid 40 years of work right there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's niche. So if they like you, they'll keep listening to you. I like that interview with that person. Then someone else will recommend this podcast or this episode and they'll listen to it. Commercial radio seems to have the same kind of thing every day. So it's kind of more like a brainwashing activity, right? And the jokes are a bit curated and it's lost. I think podcast is where the authenticity is. Right? And I think people are craving that. So they're going back to that. So it's the listeners. And if the listeners go,
absolutely.
The money
but also
goes.
I think the listening environment and the a range of devices you have
100%.
at your disposal. Like it's no longer like you driving the kids to school and only listening to the radio.
Exactly.
And that's all you've got.
I know you had like your four options.
That's right.
Your dad listened to 2GB, your mum listened to Smooth, right? And then so 2CH and whatever it was.
Yeah. Hope 103.2.
Exactly. But that's the thing. So they do have more options and more devices, but also they're looking, I think people are overstimulated by content. So they're looking for niche information.
Yes.
So who's going to, like for me people will follow me in particular because they know that regardless of the topic, even though I do small business and politics and women, I'll speak the truth. And whether I agree with someone or not, if they ask me a question, I'll explain something to them so they understand it so they can make an informed choice.
Right.
I don't want to take someone on a journey to get them to think how I think.
Yeah.
I simply want to say this is what's happening, this is the truth, this is my view, and explain it. And they might go, I've got that information, but I'm going the opposite way. Great. But at least you made an informed choice.
But how do you stop yourself from kind of almost becoming someone that you're not? Like, do you feel that there is that sort of slide?
That's easy for me. I've never been someone that I'm not.
Is
you know,
that
I was
right?
raised never to be someone that I'm not. So thanks to my mother, she's, you know, and mind you, you've got to still work on the person you are. I mean, that's a relentless ongoing journey, let me tell you.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, but it's the fact that I understand the lure.
Yeah.
I understand there's a lot of people that flatter you. So I get a lot of people say to me, you should do this, right? I'm like, says who? You? Like,
Yeah.
and I always, growing up, you say, unless you're God or my mother, I have no interest in what you have to say about me, right, or what I should be doing. But it's more that you should this and you're good at that, so you should do that. And a lot of people would take that on board and do it, and they're splitting their attention. And no, who are you? Where are you headed? What do you want out of life? What is your goals? You know, regardless of whether people you should think you should do more or less, that's what you should be doing and focus on that. People will try and pull you left and right, and they do all the time. But if you stick to that, then and you're committed to it and you're happy and content with who you are, then it's like a security blanket or it's like an electric fence with barbed wire that no one can come near you because you're secure in yourself.
Right.
I think people that aren't happy in who they are always looking for that opportunity to be famous or to be loved by people or to be, you know, like, oh, I want all these followers because they're going to think I'm wonderful. No, they don't.
Yeah.
They think what you said at the time was wonderful.
Yeah.
But next week they might hate you. Then what will you do?
Yeah, right.
You know, if you live for other people's approval, you'll die by their rejection.
Yeah, yeah. Very
Absolutely.
good advice. What
Yep.
do you think the other radio stations are thinking about and reacting to what's happened at KISS?
They're probably thinking, how can we get our name out there?
Yeah, that was a
and
good
like,
stunt.
let's brainstorm
Okay.
some drama. You know, they might subcontract the Kyle to come over and say, hey, can you give us some
Right.
pointers on what to do? And that's what it's like. They do curate drama and stories. And they go through your life. What can you talk about in your life? And I remember many, many years ago when I wanted to get into radio and I met with someone and they said, would you be willing to do morning radio to get into it in another state? And I was like, oh, no. And the reason why I said no, which people think you're mad for saying no to the opportunity, was because I'd have to talk about my life.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't want to talk about my life. That's my private life. I don't want every part of my being to be fodder or content, you know, and every scenario in your life. You know, I don't mind case studies and stories for when I do a keynote or I talk to people about this happened to me and it's an example. But every single thing would have to be about your life. And I'm like, no.
It's interesting because, like, when I used to also listen to, and this is how old I am, to Wendy Harmer.
Wendy Harmer. Hey, Wendy Harmer. I won a competition and I was 13 years old and Wendy Harmer called me at home to tell me I won a gym membership. I remember it to this day.
Which was better, being called by Wendy Harmer or the gym membership?
Well, I was 13, so I wasn't using the gym membership, but being called by Wendy Harmer was pretty cool. I was so excited.
But I must get your autograph
like,
after this.
The
That's
thing
impressive.
about her was she always talked about her life, what was
Yes.
going on, their renovations, the kids and all
that's
of that.
what they do.
And that's how you related to them and that's why you kept coming back because you
That's
just
right.
thought they were
They were
almost
part
a
of your
friend.
life.
you could
that's
have a
right.
glass
And
of
I didn't
wine,
want
you know.
that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so but you know the horrible men on the radio, the misogynist men.
Yes.
Did they do that? Did they? They didn't talk about their lives.
Well, they did.
I
to a
think-
certain
Thinking back
extent,
to
I
some
think.
of these
well,
guys.
Kyle has talked about his life and kids and marriage and you know.
Gosh.
That's a face.
Did we- how do you
can't,
know that,
You can't see
Janet?
this,
Did
but
you
Amanda's
listen
making
to-
a face.
Okay, yeah,
You know.
she is.
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah.
They do, but they also glamorize things about their life. They editorialize it, you know,
like
and
Facebook. Yeah,
and make
okay.
it and what it's
Facebook
doing is giving
drives.
unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
So people, unfortunately, when you're young, you think being rich and famous is it. right? So having a yacht, having a big fancy mansion, right? So when you've got people spruiking that and this is how I did it, and everyone's like, yeah, I want to be your party. I want to work for them because I want to be like them because I want to be rich and famous. Actually, they're usually miserable people and they're having to lie, cheat, steal, scheme, flatter, whatever it is, manipulate to get those things, which then chips away at your soul and your self-worth, and then you feel like crap at the end. So it's kind of like...
Well, you hope you feel like crap.
It's like Vanity Fair. Everyone's, striving for what's not worth having.
Yeah.
You know, like keep it simple, everyone. Let's go local. Let's,
It's always
community
been the
radio.
case. Always been the case, has it not?
Good idea.
Yes, it
Always
has.
been the case that we want.
There's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
true.
right.
Yeah, true.
It's just now with technology.
Yes, that's right. Now we've just got more
Quick
opportunity to
access.
do it.
Yeah.
Well, gorgeous. So if it really is the end of an era for commercial radio, what do you think commercial radio needs to do to survive? Like, how can they evolve?
Well, for starters, stop repeating the same people. My gosh.
How do you feel about that?
But I've been like this for ages. For ages, I couldn't understand why you're using the same people across different stations. They don't have the following you think.
Yeah.
All they have is a media machine, a propaganda machine, and a good PR team, right? Which anyone can have that opportunity. You get a new actor or an actress, put them in a show, and then pump that show, and they're going to be famous, right? So I think they need to, and I know, I forget who it was. It might have been... I think it was Triple M, where they had like influencers and just everyday people could put in like a clip, record their own, breakfast show, and they would play it. So people, something like that, I think is a great idea, right? Let's get some fresh new people, go out and find them, and pump the money into them, right? And do more micro influencers on radio, and more guests, and
Can we do a whole Australia's Got Talent on radio show?
or we could, right? See, there you go. And it's not that hard to do that. And there's so much talent out there, and we're missing the younger generation.
Yeah, I feel like on regional radio, there's got to be a lot of up and coming kind of.
Absolutely. And also have podcasts coming off those shows.
Yes,
Right.
yeah.
Right? So not just, podcast of the show, but have separate, I think there are a lot of sponsors out there wanting to sponsor value.
Yes.
But they can't because they just keep
not
using
available.
the same
Yeah.
people. For the love of God, stop doing it. It's just, it's
Well,
Yeah.
every advertiser, like from Macca's right through to, car companies, want to be seen as being, family friendly and family values and appealing to all of that.
Don't they just?
But they, they don't have the opportunity, do they?
Well, they don't. It's hard because then people have to pretend to like a lot of the brands. I don't, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure I'm the type someone would want to sponsor, although people have offered to, so you never know. I might have a podcast one day.
Okay, good.
You never
Watch
know.
this space.
Well, you never know. If God willing, literally, because I'm not doing it on my own. But yeah, so I think commercial need to be agile and bring some young blood in, leverage off social media, be different with their thinking, and not just have so much money spent on their executive teams in commercial radio and TV.
Okay.
Like there's so much money up here, or even on those old school presenters, shock jocks, and people that are on ridiculous amounts of money, like ridiculous. And I'm like, you're not that talented.
Yeah.
And you just lie. So I don't think you should be paid that much.
Well, I mean, Kyle and Jackie O were on 200 mil combined for 10 years, weren't they? But that surely that was based on the idea that they would network well into Brisbane and Melbourne and
Probably.
throughout the
And
country.
also don't forget all the extra deals they would get on top of that, brand deals or speaking,
right.
but also ratings. Like that, I'm sure there's KPIs on your ratings. If you don't hit certain ratings, you don't get bonuses and it's pretty brutal. Like, I mean, not for them, obviously, they've got airtight contracts, but it is a bit of a club in commercial radio and TV where every mate gets a job. But even then, you're not a mate if your ratings really suck or if the media's at you, they will cut you.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see those kind of contracts again in commercial
never.
radio? Right.
Never. And I don't think we should.
Yeah.
I think there should be a sensible wage. I think you should be rewarded with KPIs like any other type of business. But I think getting paid an exorbitant amount of money for literally screaming into a microphone and slagging off people for a living is gone.
It's a bit over the top.
We're done.
Yeah,
we're done.
right.
Yeah.
Got it.
So there's a real fatigue.
We're over it. And the younger generation definitely aren't buying it.
Yeah, right.
They do not like scripted things. They do not like. They're just a bit over that.
And
you
think that was the catalyst for IRN moving behind the scenes?
I think there's a panic. Because they need to restructure. Everyone needs to restructure. Look at even TV or radio. A lot of them are. I mean, look at Nine just sold 2GB. Right, and that network. So that's been sold off. So they might do something different there, which would be great to see. It'd be nice to see different things and testing the market, but listen to the market.
Yeah. I feel like they're not researching the market.
Well,
it's just
I was just about to ask that. Are there people?
They would be.
Go,
They must
go out to schools, go out to universities. And the problem is if you rely on a particular group of people and those group of people keep telling you how wonderful you are, you're in a bubble. Right?
Yeah, true.
And it's dangerous to be in that bubble.
It's not a good look. Are there other countries that are doing it better, doing radio better?
I know America's doing podcasting very well. Okay. America's brilliant with podcasting. So whether you like or loathe the podcaster, they are out there. I mean, you put on, I probably watch multiple podcasts on YouTube from American podcasters rather than Australian.
Right.
We have talent.
Yeah.
We're not platforming them.
Yeah.
Right? And I think a lot of times they're too scared to speak out and say what they need to say because of lost opportunity. But America's broken that. They've still got their typical commercial TV, which they're always going to have because it's going to be it's literally politically aligned. So the supporters of this political party will pay for that, and this one will pay for that, and then the independents have come up, which is brilliant, and there's different types of independents, but the podcast is taken off. You think of all the people like Tucker Carlson that got sacked from mainstream TV, now has his own podcast show, and it's hugely popular, right? And people followed him. They didn't think they would, but they did because they want his style or his content. Same with other people. You know, it doesn't matter what side of the spectrum they are in politics. That America does very well, right? I think Al Jazeera, I think RT and places like that do very good independent journalistic coverage of the world politics, and I follow that a lot myself to get it because Australia's very limited.
Yeah.
We're very limited. You're lucky to get a good documentary on the ABC.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true.
That is true.
Well, speaking of the ABC, I actually did follow the mushroom case daily.
I know. I think a lot of people did.
That podcast was amazing.
Yeah. See, and that's a good example of a good podcast, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly, and informative.
Yeah. Something takes you behind the scenes. Well, and just a final question for you, Amanda. Where do you get your moral compass from? You talked about, your child. Right. No messing about. God,
the Bible.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Tell us how that happened. Tell us your story.
My story, well, how I became a Christian, it's actually kind of cute. So my mum was telling my brother, who's 2 years older than me, about the Lord and did he want to accept, Christ into his heart, and I overheard it. And walked up and said, I want that, which I think I've done for the rest of my life when I would hear things in the family. I want that, right?
Following your big brother
gimme,
around.
I want that. I'm like, that sounds good. And so, it's been quite a journey since then, ups and downs as you do. And I think what people misunderstand about being a Christian is they think, so you think you're perfect or they think you're better than everyone. I'm like, far from it. Far from it. I know I am very much not perfect, and I kind of like the jokes on Instagram about I come from the hood type feeling. That's how I feel. I'm like, I'm not the squeaky clean person throughout my journey, even who is really. But it's more the fact that I had a moral compass to help me make decisions. So, whether it's a small decision or a big one, there's nothing more scary than going, what do I do?
Yeah.
Where do I go? And if you stick to the same, for me, for example, I always say to people, Proverbs is a really good place to start in the Bible, right? And I still listen to it all the time because it's like it's a guide for business, it's a guide for life, it's like a life instruction manual. And it's very much, what do I do in this situation? Now, you might not like to hear it, like, forgiveness. and, do good to those who hate you.
Yeah.
Still a struggle, but I do it because I have to. But then at the end you go, I'm glad I did that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad. I feel so good because I was an example of kindness. And I think we don't have enough of that in this world, and everyone's out for themselves because we've been told to be out for ourselves. But if you trust in God, He will bless you. You just got to do your bit.
Yeah.
So
And has that, when you do get criticism and the hate that comes in inevitably when you stand up for anything, has that helped you sort of get through that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm quite, having brothers also helps with that, mind you.
I agree with that. I've got 3 of them.
I am so, I'm like, we insult each other for fun.
Yes.
This is, I'm like, you're picking on me. Oh, I did notice because I think my brother sent me a meme about that as a joke yesterday.
Yeah, right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
is that in, sorry. But the thing is, it has, absolutely, I know my worth, whether, you lose friends, and you do, and I have many times. I've had to walk away from things and situations. That's fine because you'll find others. And your job here isn't to make lots of friends on earth. It's to be an example to the ones that you have. So it does help me with that. But also it opens the doors because people want to know why are you so calm, or why are you so confident, or how can you handle that? And I told them, I usually do a double opt-in. I'm like, you sure you want my answer?
Yeah.
Because you might not like hearing it, right? I never regret telling them because really my heart's desire for those that are in the most distress, so those who are having a hard time in life, whether they're homeless or whether they're distressed because they haven't got a job or they just don't know where to turn, that's where my heart goes. Yeah. I'm not yes, there are other people that have other callings. Like I'm not out to, mix with famous people and all of that. And that's not really my thing. I want to help those who can't help themselves, that feel lost and feel like there's no way out because there is.
Has Jackie O reached out to you?
Not yet. Give it time. But again, if she needed to, I would listen. Yeah. And I'm a vault, so I'm very private. So if people reach out to me, I'll help them how I can and then move on.
Yeah.
What's your number?
They can find me on Instagram.
It'll be in the show notes. Well, gorgeous. It has been absolutely an eye-opener, revelation to hear a bit about what's going on behind the scenes and getting to the truth. Exactly.
Yes.
And, we are all sort of expecting some announcements today from ARN and all of that sort of thing. But do you think anything at KISS and with ARN is actually going to change as a result of this?
I don't know. I think that could play pretends and say, okay, well, we better be nicer and so forth. And if it just fades out, it fades out. But check the ratings next, like the next announcement of ratings. But again, when it comes to the crunch, my concern was always been of the female in the situation, that she's not missing out on her financial security, because that would really irritate me.
Yeah. Well, on that note.
If Carl does something to hurt her income, I'll be pretty annoyed.
Okay. Yeah, right. I think she's got some pretty good lawyers too, actually. But it sounds
I know, but you can have lawyers, you can have a profile, but you're still an individual with feelings.
Yes.
And,
I think that would be the hard thing.
It would.
Yeah, because you're so much in the public eye.
You are.
You can't
It'd
even
be brutal.
go to nail salon and without people photographing. Yeah,
Exactly.
As you probably
I
know
would
as
hate
well.
that.
Yeah.
I just hide.
Yes.
I hide as much as possible.
Well, gorgeous Amanda, thank you so much for chatting with us. It's
And
been
not hiding from us.
fantastic.
Thank you.
Yes, and coming out and being you. And thank you for joining us on She Wasn't Born Yesterday.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Gorgi, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed this ep as much as we did.
And why not join us for more insider goss and sneaky peeks on our Facebook group called, strangely enough, She Wasn't Born Yesterday.
So jump on the socials and see you next time, or rather, chat soon.
Hope 103.2. Thanks for listening.